My name is Martina, and today I will be chatting to you about our story of being early adopters and how our team has been working with a startup with a fairly new tool, and how has that experience been for our team. So if you've never met me before, I'm Martina. I'm a UX engineer at Rapid7. I'm a software engineering graduate, and my team is a cross-functional design system team who, we are engineers, we're designers, we're writers, and together we work to maintain and develop our design system. And my role as an engineer is to contribute and help maintain our component library. So on the project, as our design system evolves, more and more decisions are made on how our components should be used. And these kind of usage guidelines have been historically stored in Confluence. Now, feel free to shout out or use the chat, but is there anybody who particularly loves Confluence? Please make yourself known. Yeah, I can very much empathize, Chris. So I with passion, I dislike Confluence, and storing anything in Confluence just kind of makes it difficult to go through, difficult to find things, and it doesn't look very nice. So our goal was to create a new home for our design system documentation, something that would be easy to use, and something that, because it would be kind of nice, elegant, easy to use, then it would help to increase adoption of our design system across internal teams that are working on different products. And eventually, we're hoping that this would contribute towards having a cohesive and singular experience across all products that our company offers. So here's a little quote, and excuse me for reading it off the screen, but I try to highlight the most important parts. So design system documentation is a valuable resource that works to help design teams combine and present usage guidelines. It helps to share, consume, and execute these rules. And this ultimately helps designers and developers to model their efforts around delivering a more predictable UI. So yeah, I'll leave that there. So there are many vendors for this kind of tools, and you might be wondering, how do we choose ours? We've done a lot of research, and we had a list of requirements that kind of helped us to identify a few potential candidates. And eventually our platform—
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
I'm so sorry, that was my watch. Yeah, so throughout our research, our platform—
That's what I
Okay, putting the watch away. So, excuse me for that. So our platform of choice eventually became Supernova, and they're a very young company. And looking at these statistics from a 2020 design system survey, right off the bat, Supernova might seem like a strange decision. It was a little bit of a calculated risk, but here are some of the reasons why we decided to become early adopters of this product. So Figma, Storybook, documentation, these are all elements that make up our design system. All design files, they would live in Figma. Any components would be displayed through Storybook, and beloved Confluence would be storing our documentation. Supernova allows us to kind of pull all of these sources of truth into one aggregator of multiple sources of truth. It fits really well into our existing workflows. Supernova also allows us to do some really neat user management. Right there in the console, we can define our permissions within Supernova, and it works really well. And the company themselves, they're really invested in their customers. I personally have been on calls with their CEO, giving us one-on-one walkthroughs of their code and what is their roadmap, what are their plans. and they really helped us to get up and running. Another factor that has been considered is the cost. So interestingly enough, we are only paying for the number of admins and editors needed. In terms of viewers, it's unlimited, so we can give access to as many people as we want to. And for being a startup, they're really mature. Their maturity level was really impressive to us, and kind of it gave us the confidence to know that even if we do become early adopters, working with them should be pretty smooth. So the good stuff, the things that we really liked on the project and on working with them. One of them is that they have been highly responsive. We got a couple of times their CTO on calls to troubleshoot different things that went wrong. Sometimes it was on our side, sometimes it was on their side, but it was all a part of the process. They have a very active Discord community, so you just kind of log in and there's multiple channels for different things, whether it's announcements or it's, having some ideas, or, looking to get some help or showcase the kind of work that you do. It's all there in Discord. And yeah, it's been really nice to interact with. Supernova, they ship their things pretty fast and pretty often, which is nice because you get lots of new features coming at you. They have been writing some custom functionality for us, which has been absolutely amazing. They were able to write features for us that allowed us to use single sign-on. So now we can manage our access through Okta, which has been really helpful. We're this close to getting it implemented, and it's been just such a treat working with them. One thing that I personally love is that we can vote on requested features. So over here on the screenshot, you can see their feature requests, and it's kind of like a product board with different categories and different ideas. And this is an example of how you can vote there. Is it something that would be a nice to have? Is it something that is important, or is it something that's so important that, if they don't offer it, you would switch to a different vendor? And here is just a little screenshot of their Discord community. And yeah, as I mentioned before, Supernova just works really well with our existing tools and workflows. So yeah, it was great. And it's kind of nice to know that in terms of the custom functionality, our needs help to shape the company, and they're very flexible and they're super helpful. Now, moving on to the less good stuff. I mentioned before that they ship fast and they ship often, but sometimes this means that, bugs come with it, and, that's normal, it's fine. So it's been very interesting kind of having back and forth in terms of, oh, this is something that's on our end, or is this something that, potentially you shipped a bug. So that's been quite nice. We are one of their more advanced users, meaning that there aren't always many people who have asked the same questions as us. So we can't go to the Discord and, sometimes we can, sometimes we can't go to the Discord and just kind of look for what kind of problems, what kind of things could be causing these problems. Another downside would be that sometimes the developer documentation just doesn't go deep enough. And that again goes along with the fact that we are one of their more advanced users, and maybe we just want to know about things that other people don't. And I like tutorials. I like going to YouTube and just, finding things, finding walkthroughs, how people do things. They have been really great with showing how to, as a designer, you can go in and upload different tokens, import different Figma files. But in terms of working with a code part, working with their custom exporters and, adding our own functionality, there aren't that many tutorials, but we were promised that they will be adding some more of these. So I'm really excited for them. Now, some best practices that we picked up along the way. There are two categories that I wanted to mention. and I hope you find them useful. So for the first one is being early adopters. A really good practice has been just being a part of the community and using the Discord as much as we can. If something goes wrong, we search through there, see if anybody else has dealt with that kind of issue before. And if yes, then it saves us a lot of time and effort. If it's not there, then we can communicate directly with a Supernova team. So do it early and do it as often as you can. It's a very much two-way collaboration. We provide them with feedback and they guide us in using their product. So it's been really great working in such a two-way manner. And empathy. It's really easy to get frustrated if something goes wrong or something suddenly stops working. But we're all human and we all make mistakes. And I don't know about you, but I can definitely remember a time when, somebody else took a risk on me. And I personally think that this is now my chance to do the same for somebody else. And I'm sure other people appreciate it too. So that's the kind of best practices as early adopters that we found useful. And in terms of during the project of migrating, everything from Confluence and other sources into Supernova, building a prototype first has been extremely useful because before we started to learn how it works, what are the ins and outs of using the product, we were able to explore information architecture. We were able to have some sort of layout of the content and styling before even trying to learn the editor. So that was really useful. Another one that I like to do is to document everything, document every process, everything that happens. And when you do this, what you're basically doing is preparing in a frequently asked questions section for other people that come after you and to use the product, and you already answer their questions in advance. Knowledge sharing is a big one. What we have done is things like paired programming, weekly check-ins, and just communicating really well with other parts of the team. As I mentioned before, we're not just engineers, we're engineers and designers and writers and all these different collaborators. If you don't talk, if you don't communicate, then things don't go as smoothly as they could. This is a very specific one to the project. And when I said don't carry over mess, what I had in mind is clean up as you go. When we were moving things from Confluence to Supernova, there were things that, there was older, maybe conflicting information that we didn't realize, or there were some gaps that we had to fill in. And cleaning up as we went along helped us to build out a roadmap of what are the things that we need to focus on as we start to fill it out to make it more complete as a home for our design system. And finally, listening to your consumers. So work directly with the people who will be using this product. Get them involved as early as you can. What we're doing is we're going to have an early access for people that signed up, and they'll be able to provide feedback to us before it goes live to everybody else. And we just want to make sure that we're building something that they are going to use, because ultimately, it's not there for us, it's there for them. And I believe that is it. Thank you so much for listening. Here are some extra resources. If this is something that you would like to explore or you would like to look into, I will have a shareable copy of the slide deck in the chat. So you can read a little bit more about Supernova. You can have a look on some other design systems, or the statistics that I shared earlier, they come from this 2020 survey. So there are other interesting statistics in there, so feel free to have a look at those. That is me. Thank you so much for listening. And if you would like to connect on LinkedIn or anywhere else, feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Martina. Really cool, really insightful. working with like a small startup and all that kind of stuff. Again, any questions, fire in the chat, unmute yourself if you want. There's a couple sent through. So when you, I'm not sure if you were involved in the process, but like, was there alternatives to Supernova, like other companies that were there, or?
Yes, there were other alternatives, and many of them are actually listed in the survey that I posted in there. So whenever our team was deciding on which platform we're going to use, obviously there were many of them. At the time, I worked part-time, so I couldn't have been as involved in the decisions as I could be now. But you know, we had a list of things that we wanted from this platform, and that really helped us to decide which one we want to use. But yeah, if you're looking for alternatives, the survey is a great starting point.
I guess again, actually, like a little follow on from that, like you're talking about like the feature request and the upvoting of features. Is there been any like features that you have like requested or tried to upvote that like existed in an alternative, or that, or even if there wasn't any, like, was there a feature that you've always wanted but could never get in?
Kind of. A really good example would be a do's and don'ts. So that is kind of like a component block that you would very often see across other design systems. And they actually have it in their requests, and we have talked to them about it. And it is something that is coming. You know, they shared with us their design explorations that they have been doing, and we've been able to say, oh, you know, we like that one, and this is why. At the minute, because it is something that we needed fast, they helped us to implement a workaround. It is something that is temporary. It is based on one of their existing components, but they have added a variant that allows us, so it was a tabs component, and they have created a variant that allows both kind of tab columns to be displayed beside one another and not look like tabs. They have helped us to implement a workaround. But yes, they are actively working on this, and it should be delivered sometime soon, within the next couple of weeks, hopefully a month or so.
Well, I think I have a question that kind of closely links to that one, and it's more sort of because you are an engineer yourself, and because you work in a team, like in a product that serves customers. As a customer, does that make you more empathetic then when you're talking to the engineers about bugs and about, like, you know, issues? Like, do you ever feel that you're like, oh, I know how to fix that and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our team, you know, our customers for our team are internal customers. So anything that we make, it is always interesting to be on the other side. And now, you know, we're working with a young company, and, you know, we are now on the side of being a consumer, which is different than, you know, what we would do. It's different than the work that we do day to day. So it's very interesting, it's very insightful, and it definitely makes you more empathetic. You know, you kind of learn to have a little bit of more grace on people. Yeah.
Oh, for sure, because I was a waitress for many years. So now you'll always see me stacking up plates in a proper fashion when I leave a restaurant, just because I know what they're going through.
Yeah,
no,
I worked in a coffee shop, so I always bring my coffee cups back to them.
Right. It's a similar thing, though. I imagine that, like, you're working with young engineers, and, like, you know, you were there once, and it's like, yep, I know how to help you, but you can't step in. But no, thanks, babes.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me.
I kind of question following on from that. Like, you mentioned, but like, they had a Discord and it was very active. Like, I find it so funny, like, larger companies, you're so disconnected from support and like having like that kind of community. Like, what was it like interacting with people in the Discord? And like, did it ever come like, you were able to help like another one of their customers?
I can't think right off the bat, but I definitely know, the same way as I mentioned, if any issue comes up, then, you know, first thing I would do is go to Discord and search for the keywords, see if anybody else, you know, has had the problem before. And I have myself and, you know, other team members, they have posted their issues into the Discord community, which kind of makes it permanent in there. And that makes it as a help resource. If anybody else has the same issue, you know, in future, then, you know, they will find it. It's all there. All the communication is in the thread.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because it just makes me think of the case of like, you know, there's times I've like searched for something, got a Stack Overflow post, and like the only reply is, yeah, I fixed it. I'm like, how? Why didn't you not tell me?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, what sometimes happened was that if it was not something that we could fix on our end, but it's something that was something for them to fix, then they said, yes, you know, we have ticketed this, we will deal with this. And, you know, eventually the outcome is that they fix it. So hopefully nobody will ever have to search for the same issue.
And we got a question in the chat there from Jack. How far along are you with implementing it so far with the Rapid7 ecosystem? And has it been like a quick or slow process?
So we're quite far along. The only thing at the minute that is blocking us is that we're working through some single sign-on issues. We were waiting for them to supply us with custom functionality to that would work with our Okta tiles, and you know, it would just integrate really well within our system. So we have the link now. At the minute, it is sitting with IT. Once we test it and we have it working, then it will be open for early access. And we're hoping that early January, at some point in January, it would just be access for everyone within Rapid7.
Yeah, you've plenty of people listening to this who are going to be waiting for that early access invitation email coming through.
Yeah, if anybody would like to sign up for early access, and yeah, reach out to me on Slack and we'll get you added to the list.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Really, really, really cool talk.